Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Viewers, tonight we shall look into two issues. We shall discuss two issues. First, the continued row over ILP in Meghalaya, which has grabbed fresh limelight following Governor Satya Malik's statement last week that implementation of the entry permit system may affect tourism and investments in the state. Secondly, in the second half of Bottom Line, we shall also discuss with our panelists as to what does the Himalayan tragedy that in Uttarakhand say about the threat of climate change. How cautious should Northeast be in the wake of the disaster? But first to Meghalaya. Well, Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma is in Delhi, where he is discussing a host of projects with central ministers. However, the focus of the visit, as far as the state is concerned, is probably on the ILP issue, which has been the hot topic since the last few months in the state. At a time when pressure group leaders are expected to get an appointment with Union Home Minister Amit Shah for discussions on the contentious matter, a statement by Meghalaya Governor Satya Malik has not gone down well with the pressure groups in the state, who have been relentless in their demand for implementation of the ILP. Well, Governor Malik feels that ILP may prove counterproductive for the state and may even dry up investments to an extent. However, the pressure groups have taken exception to the statement, forcing the state government to clarify that it is vigorously pursuing the matter with the centre. So, post the developments in the last few days, is there apprehension again among the pressure groups that implementation of ILP may linger? Should the governor's point of view be considered as well, since he has also categorically said that he is not opposed to the ILP if it is absolutely necessary for protection of the indigenous populace? What is the future course of action of the pressure groups amid all this? To discuss the issue, I am being joined by CoMSO Chairman Robert June Kharjahrin from Shillong. Welcome to Bottom Line, Mr. Kharjahrin. I am also being joined by HNYF General Secretary Sadon. If I can go to Mr. Robert June Kharjahrin first. Well, Mr. Kharjahrin, Chief Minister Conrad Sangma is in Delhi. He is meeting a lot of central ministers, but definitely, your focus would be whether or not he gets an appointment with the Union Home Minister and if the ILP issue is taken up and discussed in details.
Yes, we have seen through media that the Chief Minister of the state, Mr. Conrad Sangma, along with the other cabinet colleague, he is in camping in Delhi for meeting with lots of ministers and other ministry and so on. Also, we were told that he is trying to get an appointment also with the Honorable Home Minister Shri Amit Shah. So we do hope that the Home Minister will give a positive response to the request made by the Honorable CM of the state, and also the desire of the pressure group to have a detailed discussion on the need of implementation of ILP in the state of Meghalaya. So we are very much hopeful that the Union Home Minister will give an appointment, and the moment we get an appointment, we are confident to impress upon the Home Minister that ILP will go a long way toward the protection of the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya, especially from being outnumbered in our own state. So we hope that with the discussion, and we hope that with the meeting, we will see that the government of India, like they do in any part of the state, especially Manipur recently, they will also sanction implementation ILP in the state of Meghalaya.
Absolutely. Mr. Sadon Bla, HNYF General Secretary, the Meghalaya Governor in his personal capacity is saying that ILP may be detrimental, or should I say counterproductive to the state in the long run. At the same breath, he has also said that, if it is for the protection of the indigenous community, he has no objection to it. Now, does it concern you, the statement coming from the governor, because the governor is considered the centre's representative in the state? Mr. Bla.
Now you see, a statement made by the head of the state, like the governor, mean, any statement which has come to the public, it cannot be considered as that statement as a personal capacity, because he is the constitutional head and he is the agent of the central government in the state. So whatever he said publicly, it cannot be taken lightly that it can be his personal capacity, in his personal capacity. As I have seen that he have said that ILP may be detrimental to the interest of the state. But as we know that there are states in northeast of India which are under the ambit of the inner line permit. So this statement that saying that giving ILP to Meghalaya will be detrimental to Meghalaya, then should I argue that the Indian government is playing a detrimental role to the other northeastern states who are having ILP? Which only shows that the willingness of granting ILP to Meghalaya. I mean, the lack of that willingness. Because if the head of the state said that it is detrimental to Meghalaya to grant ILP, then I will argue that the central government is playing a detrimental role in granting ILP to other 4 or 5 states in northeastern India, and lately Manipur. So, and again, his statement that ILP, if it is in the interest of the indigenous community or the interest of minorities communities in Meghalaya, I mean, there is no further argument to that ILP is very much, a mechanism to protect the demography of the indigenous people of the minority scheduled tribe, because Meghalaya is a scheduled tribe state as a whole. Yes.
Well, Robertson Kharjahrin, well, this is not the first time that the governor has spoken on the ILP or the MRSA. Even in the past, he had mentioned that, well, he was appreciative of the MRSA, but had said that he is still to look into the ILP issue. But again, time and again, he had also assured that he will definitely convey the message to the center. But even in the past, did you get an impression that maybe in a way the governor was more supportive of the MRSA than probably of the ILP, which is being reflected once again?
First of all, I would like to agree with Sadon that a statement made by the head of the state, like the governor, should not be taken lightly. And it is very important for every governor to avoid giving personal opinion when they are assumed in the office and authority. I think if they continue giving personal statement when they are still assumed the office, it will not go easy in the opinion of the public as a whole. So we request that the governor himself is a seasoned politician. In the future, he should try to avoid giving any personal statement on issue which is highly sensitive in the state of Meghalaya. That is the first thing. And the second thing, I do feel that the governor statement was not based on facts. His statement saying that ILP will affect inflow of tourists into the state of Meghalaya. It's something that we have already rejected, and we have already said time and again that as per the data available, ILP is not an only thing that determine the development of tourism sector in the state of Meghalaya. If we want to develop tourists, there's a lot of things that we need to do. We have to have a good policy. We need to have a good transport. We need to have a good advertising and a lot of things. We need to build the infrastructure in the state of Meghalaya in order to promote tourism. ILP will not be detrimental to determine the development of tourism sector in the state. We have already have data, and we don't need to say it again and again. And secondly, if you're talking about development aspect, I can give to you the data. If you see in the 11-year plan between 2007 to 2012, you could find that ILP state like Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram is doing much better when it comes to GDP compared to the state of Meghalaya. If I would like to remind, the growth rate on the 11 plan period, you will see in Arunachal Pradesh is 9.4 the growth rate. In Mizoram is 11%. As far as Meghalaya, who doesn't have ILP, is only 8.1. So of course Nagaland is doing is lesser, which accordingly 6.2. But the problem of Nagaland and the unsettled Naga issue, it's a different thing. We cannot blame only ILP for the low GDP during this 11-year plan. So we cannot say that ILP will affect the development sector in the state of Meghalaya also. And I do feel that the governor statement is not based on facts. It's not based on adequate data. And we request the honorable governor to do his proper research before giving any statement. And secondly, when it comes to MRSA, we have okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
And when it comes to MRSA, we on our visit to the honorable governor, we have already said that MRSA is something that it can be done at his capacity only, because MRSA is a legislation, is a bill framed by the Legislative Assembly under the state list of the 7th schedule. So by saying that he need to have a clearance from the Home Ministry or something like that, it's a precedent, it's a very, very bad precedent, which in a long term will go toward affecting the federal structure of the Constitution of India. It will diminishing the power of the state and the Legislative Assembly. India is a federal state. And I do feel that the governor himself, being a learned person, he should understand that state need to be protected. The powers of each and every state in India need to be ensured that it should not be violated. But President, like sending the bill, purely under the state law, to the ministry, it's something that need not to be encouraged, and this will violate the federal structure of the Constitution of India. So we do hope that the honorable governor will give his assent to the MRSA, because everything lies on his hand. He need to respect the bill which was passed unanimously by the Legislative Assembly and the aspiration of the people of the state of Meghalaya as a whole.
We will come to more on that, the MRSA vis-a-vis the ILP thing. Sadon Bla, the governor's statement apart, again, there's also a section of people in the state, in Meghalaya, who also feel that yes, the ILP, Arunachal has had ILP since long, a part of Nagaland has had ILP, now Manipur has ILP, Mizoram, but again, in a way, they are a bit behind on the sectors like tourism and investment, which is also true when we talk about Arunachal, Nagaland, other states. And Meghalaya was just opening up. So if the concern is also among the section of the people in the state is that if Meghalaya gets the same, if Meghalaya implements the same, it may also lag behind. I know it's kind of getting repetitive. You have answered this question, you have faced this question again, but in the new light, what would you say to this kind of an argument? Because even Shillong was open, just started to open up to the private sector.
Now, without ILP, we are arguing that Meghalaya there will be drawback in tourism if ILP is implemented. But we have to look at the other side. I mean, nature has blessed Meghalaya with the bounties of tourism, natural-made infrastructure. So compared to other states, Meghalaya has more tourist attraction, which means that naturally Meghalaya will invite tourists as of now. But they're saying that because of the other northeastern states are lacking behind compared to Meghalaya in tourism sector. I would put this argument that till date there is no account there is no clear account of or transparency regarding the inflow of tourism to Meghalaya. what revenue does the state generated out of this tourism, how much revenue generated out of tourism. But if ILP or the MRSA is in place, then we can have account of the inflow of tourists and possible revenue generation from tourism sector. As of now, when we talk of tourism in Meghalaya, it is in a very random. The way it is organized is very random. So we cannot argue that if ILP is implemented in Meghalaya, simply there will be a dip in the tourism and the flow of tourists. That is a kind of hypothetical argument that some section of people are putting forward, and a kind of conjecture which I don't feel that we should agree to. Until and unless ILP is in place or the MRSA, the entry-exit point is in place, then only we can argue. And further, I would say that it is not prohibitory. It is nothing like to prohibit the Indian citizen or tourists to visit Meghalaya. It's only a regulation and to know that tourists are really coming as tourists. Because as of now, we have seen that many who claim to come themselves as tourists and they finally become residents of Meghalaya. So this is also not going to serve the interests of the indigenous and the minority community in the long run.
Robert Jun Kharjahrin, are we again looking too much into the tourism sector? Meghalaya is again not all about tourism. What the concern maybe is investments, private players coming in. We know government jobs are getting saturated, more and more youths graduating every year. We need more employment opportunities. The state, of course, has to look within for those employment opportunities, but also we need bigger players also sometimes from outside to come and invest, which is unavoidable. Now, what one section is arguing is that having an ILP, what happens is that things then are, say a company comes in, an investor comes in, sets up the head office in Guwahati, operates from here, has a few employees there because doesn't want to take the risk of setting up a full-fledged office in Shillong, assuming that there will be problems in traveling and logistical problems, because that's the mentality that comes probably along with that ILP tag, and that is something that people are also worried about. Besides the supply of skilled labor that Meghalaya still requires, which we have to accept maybe.
This argument saying that if ILP is implemented, investment and investor will not come and invest into the state of Meghalaya is very wrong. As we say time and again, ILP is more or less like a visa. Just because we need to have a visa to go to a foreign country, it doesn't mean that that foreign investor doesn't have. Now in Meghalaya we have so many foreign investor invest in so many sectors. We have Lafarge invest in mining and other thing, and not only that, we have so many foreign company invest in India. It's not that because India doesn't ask for visa for people in the state of Meghalaya. You look at Dubai. If we go to Dubai or Singapore, we need to obtain visa, of course, but it doesn't mean that the Indian laborer doesn't go there. They will go there because the scope of employment is there. So it would be the same thing. And secondly, when we talk about the investment, investor will invest if we have a good industrial policy. The moment we pave way for a good industrial policy, they will come and invest. Now, who will come and invest in Meghalaya? We don't even have enough powers. Those companies, those factories who's already come here and invest, they find it very difficult even to maintain the power sectors. They have to build their own grid. Who will come and invest in such a state of affairs? You rise the power sector, you upgrade the power sector, so many investors will come. And secondly, when it comes to labor, ILP is not something that if you apply, you will not get it. ILP is something that you apply if you could produce that you are a genuine Indian citizen, if you could produce that you have a good record, and if you clearly stated what is your purpose to visit the state, definitely you will get. ILP is not it's not a prohibitory order. It is a regulatory order. It will only regulate the entry and settlement of people into the state of Meghalaya. So this perception that if ILP is implemented, it will affect the development, investor will not come and invest, I don't think so. But I do feel that the moment ILP is in place, the people who came here to work genuinely in the state of Meghalaya, the moment they possess ILP, they will have a confidence that nobody will touch them. Nobody will unnecessarily create inconvenience to them, because if anybody is asked, if the police ask or the local authority asks, the moment they show ILP, nobody will create an inconvenience to them. So in that sense, it will, it will create a sense of confidence into the investor. It will create a sense of confidence even to the laborer, because they will know that nobody will create inconvenience to them, because we know that they have entered Meghalaya legally and they will stay in Meghalaya legally without violating any provision of law. So I do feel that these are things which is unnecessary. These are things which need not to go into the detail, because if we say that BJP central government implement ILP in Manipur with an objective to decrease the inflow of tourism in Manipur, or with an objective to ensure that Manipur will not grow in development, I think nobody will give that statement. You go and ask Amit Shah, you go and ask any BJP leader, will they dare to give that statement? You go and ask the
basically,
CM of
you feel it's not going to affect investment.
Saying that ILP is affect the no. You go and ask the CM of Arunachal, who is a BJP himself. Will you ask them to revoke ILP because it affect investor? No, they will not. You see the last session of Arunachal Assembly, they even passed a resolution with a stronger law. They passed to implement 6th schedule in the entire state of Arunachal. They passed to further strengthen Article 321, which is already there in the state of Arunachal. So how can we reach into conclusion that ILP will affect investor? So I don't think so that ILP will affect investor. I don't think that ILP will affect tourism or will hamper the development. Now what's left is the political will of the NDA government. Will the NDA government show the political will that they have a serious political will to protect the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya? That is a big question mark. That need to be discussed. That need to be asked. Other thing, I don't feel that is even necessary to even discuss, because thing is very clear. And it's not even
all right.
Sadon
Bla, do you think that both the MRSA and the ILP are required at the same time? I mean, if the MRSA is strengthened further, do you think that also solves the purpose in a way?
I mean, if your question is only, is MRSA a substitute to ILP or ILP is substitute to MRSA?
Either ways.
I mean, if that is your question, I will answer it this way. Now we have to understand it. When we say ILP, I mean it is the 1873 Eastern Bengal Frontier Regulation. The Frontier Regulation. So when we talk about the Frontier Regulation Act 1873, it indicates that state which are having ILP, they must have license office. I mean, possibly in all the states of India, possibly. I mean, license office mean a person who want to enter this ILP state, they have to take a permit from those license office which is available in their respective state or airport or whatsoever that the other state government of India can arrange. But when we talk of MRSA, it is the permit at the entry point, And basically we are talking here about permit. So MRSA, it is a state legislation which falls under the state subject to regulate the inflow of migrant into the state, and at the same time to check people who are entering the state, and they are entering with a purpose and not to contribute to any kind of influx and migrations as to affect the demographic structure of the state. But having said that, if ILP is implemented, I mean, MRSA will be a kind of a ready-made mechanism to further strengthen ILP. I mean, ILP, MRSA, and ILP they will supplement each other.
Supplement each other.
Supplement
Point
and
taken.
complement each other,
Point
and
taken.
not otherwise.
Yeah, Robert June Kharjahrin again. Do you think, following the governor's statement or the governor's remark, of course, Chief Minister Conrad Sangma is in Delhi, but do you think, in a way, the implementation of ILP may just linger for some more time? Is that the indication that you are getting?
As I mentioned, that the accord to sanction implementation ILP in the state of Meghalaya by the Honorable President of India, what's left now is a political will. Will the NDA-led BJP government has a political will to protect the identity and the ethnic of the indigenous people of the state of Meghalaya? If they have a genuine interest in protecting the identity of the state of Meghalaya, they should not wait for that. They have shown the political will in Manipur and in other states. They must show in the state of Meghalaya also. But if BJP NDA-led government has no interest whatsoever to protect the identity of the indigenous people of the state of Meghalaya, that is something that will have an impact in the state of Meghalaya, and definitely will have an impact on BJP in the state of Meghalaya. That is what need to be asked free and frank. I do feel that is important. And secondly, when it comes to MRSA, as Mr. Sadon said, that these two legislation actually comprehend each other. They are needed each other for MRSA for the safety and security of the citizen. ILP will be needed for the regulating of the people into the state of Meghalaya. These two law, they are not in contradicting to each other. They are comprehend to each other. They need each other. So we do hope that the Honorable President will accord sanction for implementation of ILP, and the Honorable Governor will give his assent to the MRSA amendment bill as well. And we also demand from the state government to fully implement the MRSA Act, which was passed long way back since 2016, and the rule was framed in 2017.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Robert June Kharjahrin, for your time. Thank you so much, Sadon. We have to go for a very short break here. On the other side, we'll discuss the Uttarakhand tragedy and what lessons can we learn in the Northeast from that. Short break.